The second expert that I interviewed was Mr. Tony Debelis, who is a retired U.S. Army Ranger. He served in the U.S. Army for 7 years, and for 4 of those years, he served as a paratrooper. He completed over 46 jumps in the US, the Middle East, and parts of Asia. And he also had experience in non military jumps as he was a skydiving instructor for a short period of time after he retired from the Army. Now, during this interview, we talked about the training he received as a military paratrooper and also the training that civilian skydivers received. We compared and contrasted military parachutes and skydiving parachutes. And then, with that information and the information I gave him on the D.B. Cooper case, he rendered his opinion on what possible training D.B. Cooper could have had prior to the jump, as well as Mr. Debelis' opinion on whether or not D.B. Cooper ultimately survived the jump from Flight 305. Now, there were 4 major takeaways from this interview. The first two kind of go together. The first one, though, is a military paratrooper, because of training, can jump and use both a military parachute and a skydiving parachute. However, a civilian skydiver can only jump with a skydiving chute because a skydiving chute is steerable and much larger, while a military parachute is much smaller and is not steerable. Now, Mr. Debelis believes that Cooper most likely had done some civilian skydiving before the jump, and he might as well have had some military training, but not military paratrooper training. He believes that he had some military training because he was able to attach the parachute to himself without any help. He knew how to attach the parachute, and he also knew how to attach the reserve parachute to himself, which he was not supposed to be able to do. He also knew he could tell the military parachutes that he was originally given apart from the civilian skydiving parachutes that he was later given, and he knew to wrap the duffel bag of money in another parachute in a way to keep it in midline with his body so that it would not mess up his fall. Now, the third point is Mr. Debelis believes that Cooper definitely could have survived the jump. However, when it comes to military jumping and skydiving, there's always someone on the ground in case someone goes wrong. So Mr. Debelis believes that there was an accomplice waiting for Cooper on the ground. Just like Tom Kay, Mr. Debelis actually believes that Cooper was most likely Canadian, citing the Dan Cooper alias as a reason, and also citing the fact that there was no extradition at the time between US and Canada. So essentially, whoever D.B. Cooper was could commit this crime in America and then go back to Canada without the fear of being extradited to the US for this crime.